The bell above the diner door jingled, and for a moment, everything seemed ordinary. Sizzling bacon, clinking plates, and the low hum of conversation. But within minutes, that peaceful rhythm shattered when laughter turned cruel, and a young girl's trembling hands tried to cover her face from the humiliation that followed. No one stood up. Not a single soul. But sometimes fate keeps its own score. Because exactly 1 hour later, the door opened again, and justice rolled in on 2 roaring wheels. The sun had just started to set over the small town of Maplewood, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and pink. Inside Maggie's diner, the air smelled of coffee and pancakes, a familiar comfort to locals who stopped by after work. Among them was a young girl named Lila, barely 16, sitting in the corner booth with her mother. Lila had been born with a condition that made it difficult for her to walk without her crutches. But she was bright, always smiling, and dreamed of becoming a painter. Her sketchbook lay open in front of her, filled with little drawings of the world as she saw it, kind, colorful, and full of hope. Her mother, Susan, encouraged her every step of the way, even though life hadn't been easy for either of them since Lila's father passed away 2 years ago. That evening, 3 teenage boys swaggered into the diner, loud, arrogant, and full of themselves. They were the kind of boys who mistook cruelty for confidence. They noticed Lila's crutches first, then her sketchbook. "Hey, look at this," one of them snickered, pointing. "Picasso over here forgot how to walk." Lila's face turned red. She tried to ignore them, but the laughter grew louder. Another boy grabbed her sketchbook off the table and flipped through her drawings. "Oh, look at this. Rainbows and butterflies. Did your mommy help you draw these?" "Please," Lila whispered, her voice barely holding. "Give it back." Susan stood up, trying to stay calm. "You boys should leave her alone," she said firmly. But instead of backing down, one of the bullies smirked. And then, in a moment that silenced the diner, he slapped Lila across the face with the sketchbook. The sound echoed. Lila gasped, tears welling in her eyes. Her mother rushed to her, trembling with anger, but the boys just laughed and walked out, leaving the diner filled with stunned silence. Everyone saw what happened. The cook, the waitress, even the couple at the counter. But no one did anything. They all looked away, pretending not to have seen. Lila buried her face in her mother's shoulder, whispering, "Why does the world hate people like me?" Susan held her tight, her heart breaking. "It doesn't, sweetheart," she murmured. "Some people are just blind to kindness, but you'll see. The world has a way of setting things right." An hour passed. The diner had grown quiet, with only the hum of the neon sign flickering in the window. Lila was still sniffling, her cheek red from the slap, when the distant rumble of motorcycles echoed through the street. Heads turned as the sound grew louder, deep, powerful engines cutting through the still night air. Then the door opened. 4 men in leather jackets stepped inside, the word "Iron Hearts" stitched on their vests. They were big, bearded, and intimidating, the kind of men who made people move out of their way without saying a word. The waitress froze mid-step, her notepad trembling in her hand. The leader, Jack, scanned the diner. His gaze softened when he noticed Lila and her mother sitting quietly in the corner. But he didn't miss the tension in the room or the whispers from the staff. He walked up to the counter and asked, "What happened here? Why's the kid look like she's been crying?" No one answered. The cook looked down at his shoes. Finally, Susan spoke, her voice trembling. "Some boys came in earlier. They hurt my daughter. No one did anything." Jack's jaw tightened. "What boys?" "They left about an hour ago," the waitress finally whispered. "High school kids, drive a black pickup. They hang out near the gas station on Elm." Jack turned to his crew. "You heard her." Without another word, the bikers left, engines roaring back to life. The sound faded into the distance, leaving the diner in stunned silence once again. Susan touched her daughter's hand. "Don't worry about it," she said softly. "They're not our fight." But Lila looked out the window, her eyes following the taillights disappearing down the road. For the first time that night, she smiled faintly. "Maybe it's not over," she whispered. 30 minutes later, the diner door swung open again. The 4 bikers were back, and behind them the 3 bullies shuffled in, heads down, faces pale. One of the bikers gave them a shove toward Lila's table. Jack crossed his arms. "Tell her what you told us." The biggest bully looked up, his voice shaky. I'm sorry, miss. We were wrong. We shouldn't have done that. Lila didn't say anything at first. She looked at them, really looked, and saw fear, shame, and regret. Finally, she nodded. Thank you. I forgive you. The diner was silent. The same people who had looked away earlier now watched with tears in their eyes. Jack put a gentle hand on Lila's shoulder and said, "You're stronger than any of us, kid." As the bikers turned to leave, Susan called out, "Why did you help us?" Jack smiled. "Because someone once helped my daughter when I didn't have the courage to. No one deserves to face cruelty alone." That night, as the motorcycles roared away into the distance, Lila leaned against her mother, her sketchbook clutched tightly to her chest. She opened to a blank page and began to draw. Not rainbows this time, but bikers riding through a sunset, like guardian angels on wheels. And at the bottom of the page, she wrote one line that would stay with her forever. "Kindness doesn't wear a uniform, but sometimes it rides a Harley."